What's going on, everyone? I hope you all had an amazing weekend, and I hope you guys are ready to fire because the market is heating up right now at a pace that we haven't seen in a while. In today's video, we're going to be covering exactly what you need to be paying attention to in the market for this week. We have an $800,000 trade that is pretty dang crazy, and we're also going to talk about how credit card losses are rising at the fastest pace since the great financial crisis. So we have a lot to talk about today, so you better stick with us all the way to the end. But with that being said, Tom, let's jump right into it.
Yeah, Mike, last week was a very fun week in the stock market, at least for me. I had a lot of fun playing some of these stocks to the downside. I know a lot of people didn't have fun playing them to the downside, but hey, that's why it's always good to be adaptable and to kind of go with that momentum. And last week, that momentum was definitely to the downside. And man, we saw a ton of stocks selling off. Whether you go look at AMD, Meta, Apple, Microsoft. I mean, a lot of these stocks were moving down. Of course, Friday they might have recovered up a little bit, but overall last week it was fairly rough from Monday to Friday. Whenever I go look at the SPY and a lot of these stocks, they are falling down to some pretty key supports again. So the SPY is sitting right on 430 heading into this week. I love that because if we break down below there, that could be a great area for us to play below. I also love it on a lot of these big stocks like Apple, which you can see here has been bouncing on this support around 172 to 174 multiple times the past few weeks. So if these supports start to break, there could be significantly more selling pressure coming in my opinion, and then that could also give us some great movement out of these stocks like SPXS or SQQQ or one of your favorites, Mike, UVXY, which has been exploding, and look at the way it closed up around highs Friday, looking pretty good heading into this week. So it's been a fun past couple weeks. If you guys have been enjoying it, throw your favorite plays down in the comments below. UVXY has been one of my favorites, along with SQQQ. I know those two always do good when the market drops, but hey, it's been so much fun playing these stocks lately, Mike, and there's going to be a ton more opportunities coming this week, too.
No doubt about that, and some of these powerhouse tech stocks are definitely turning to the downside right now. Two stocks I was looking at pretty closely were Tesla and Nvidia, and both of them are down around 19% from their recent highs. So that goes to show you that the drop that we've been seeing definitely isn't a light one, at least so far. And, you know, a lot of people look at the market right now, and some people are like, oh, you know, it's a great thing that stocks are starting to fall, where other people are like, you know what, this kind of sucks, let's get the money printer back on again. But the thing to realize is that the market has been in a pretty strong uptrend all year now, and it's just normal to see periods where the market falls as well as when the market rises. But what a lot of people don't really realize is that when we have these shifts, whether it's like, you know, stocks starting to pull back or stocks starting to pop back up, a lot of times during those shifts is where a lot of the opportunity is. Think about it. Like, you know, if you're buying stocks after a massive sell-off and it's just starting to shift back to the upside, there's a whole lot of opportunity associated in like bullish ways around that. And the same thing works to the downside. If you've had stocks running up for, you know, months or in some cases like years now, and at this point they're up like a couple 100% in a relatively short amount of time, capitalizing off of a pullback like that is one, pretty rare, but it's also pretty profitable if it's done in the right way. So with everything being said, opportunity is here, and what I'm most excited for is the volatility that we're seeing increasing. Tom, whether you're looking at Nvidia or AMD or Tesla or Apple or Meta or any other stock out there, it's not like we're seeing a 0.3% drop that is boring and no one cares about. We look at certain stocks, like let's say Tesla on Friday, it was down almost 5%, and that's just like one stock. Some of these other stocks are having huge swings on a day-to-day basis, and that's a great thing, especially for options traders. So I love to see it. You guys should too. So a bunch of good stuff on that side of things. But Tom, Another thing worth talking about is not just the charts and the technical setups we have going on, but also the underlying fundamentals of what's happening in the economy right now. And I can't help but talk about how credit card losses are rising at their fastest pace since the great financial crisis. Of course, this is not a good thing, no matter which way you look at it. Of course, the economy has been, getting squeezed a little bit here, and, not only is the stock market falling, but we are seeing even more worrying signs in the economy.
Yeah, we are, and credit card losses going up for these companies is terrible. Like Goldman Sachs predicts they'll continue to climb too through the end of 2024 and early 2025. That means that in a way, Goldman Sachs is expecting a pretty rough next year and a half, Mike. I mean, that's pretty bad if credit card losses keep going this south. And whenever I hear those words of credit card losses, or you hear credit card delinquencies, which have been on the rise too, there's all types of implications that has throughout the economy, as in the main one, just that people don't have enough money right now, right? People aren't paying off their credit cards, which is a problem, right? Rip to their credit scores, but that happens sometimes whenever people go through tough situations. That's what people have to do. They have to save their money. They have to do what they can to feed their families and stuff, and it makes sense, but it's terrible to see throughout the economy that this is starting to happen. And right here, they said that they think delinquencies could continue to underperform seasonally through the middle of next year, and they don't see it peaking until late 2024, early 2025. I mean, that's really bad to hear, and they're expecting consumers to continue to take a hit for that long, it sounds like, which is pretty rough. Whenever you have a big company like Goldman saying that, it better strike you a little bit, because Goldman would do better if people got these losses fixed, or if they, paid off their losses, you'd say.
And what's also worth noting is that the rate at which these credit card companies are taking these losses, it's actually the fastest pace in basically 30 years. And then on top of that, of the past 5 credit card loss cycles, which, we're in right now, 3 of them were associated with recessions. So, that's just another thing worth keeping in mind with the market and the economy right now. So definitely keep that in the back of your head as well. But looking more about some short-term stuff, Tom, we had Powell speak last week, and he definitely turned the markets to the downside in a pretty strong way. He really lit that fire to get stocks starting to fall. But Powell's coming back again this week, Tom, but it's not what most people think. So fill us in.
Yeah, so at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, September 28th, Powell will be speaking again. Now, like you said, it's not anything too crazy. If we actually go to the Federal Reserve, if we go to their calendar, you can see it says conversation with the chair, a teacher town hall meeting. More specifically, he will host a town hall with educators in Washington, D.C. He'll do it in person and via webcast, and he'll respond to questions from the in-person audience and virtual participants. So I don't think that this is going to be an event that necessarily moves or breaks or makes the market like the FOMC event was, or like some of his other town halls / meetings might do. I think this one might be a little bit more laid back, and it actually comes out later in the day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, which is like right at market close. So that's pretty crazy, Mike, that he's going to be speaking here as the market closes. Usually he speaks in the middle of the day.
Exactly. It's so interesting. We have Powell speaking basically at market close. It's, something you definitely don't see too often. And this event will definitely not be as important as the event last week. But still, whenever Papa Powell speaks, you got to pay attention because he just has that touch with the market. So keep that on your radar as well. And then, Tom, let's shift over into earnings. I know it's nothing too exciting, but we do have a couple stocks that report this week, like Costco on Tuesday after close, Micron on Wednesday after close, and Nike on Thursday after close. And then Friday before open, we have Carnival Cruise Line. But besides that, that's all the exciting stuff we have.
Yeah, and hey, I'll say though, Mike, these are pretty big though. Like you said, Costco, that's going to be a big one. Micron's going to be my favorite of the week for sure. A big semiconductor stock out there. Keep them on watch. If it doesn't go well, I'm going to be worried with how those semiconductors moved last week, but even Nike will be pretty big. So it's going to be a pretty big week, Mike, for earnings. I think that these stocks could have some decent moves. It's not like they're going to really affect the market overall too largely or anything, in my opinion. But man, like Costco is one of the biggest retailers out there. They better keep those hot dogs at $1.50 or whatever it is, or else people are going to get pissed.
Oh, gosh. Well, looking at the earnings calendar this week and, the news we have scheduled, it's relatively light, but I actually think that's a good thing because the volatility we're seeing that's increasing right now, let's let it do what it wants to do, Like, we don't have to go through the week waiting for one specific event or data release or speech or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we can just trade the markets how they come this week. And I think it's a good thing that, there aren't necessarily like crazy earnings this week because the setups we have brewing are definitely pretty good and pretty rare. But Tom, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about. And that's some crazy news I saw a couple days ago. And it has to do with ticker symbol MTCH. This is Match, and they own like a bunch of dating companies, and I don't know if this news I'm about to read is like genius or what it really tells, but news came out that Tinder is now offering a $6,000 a year subscription to its most active users. So $6,000 a year, that breaks down to $500 a month. And if they actually start selling a lot of these, then I assume Match will be helped out pretty good. Ticker symbol MTCH. But then again, I'm like, are people really going to pay $6,000 a year for this? I don't know.
Mike, this has me dying. Whenever you told me this, I just started cracking up. I could not believe it. People are going to pay $500 a month to access features like exclusive search and matching. Like, I don't know, Mike, but I would think that you could do some Wolf of Wall Street stuff for like $500 or less per month, man. That's, this is getting pretty wild here. These subscriptions, if you're paying $6,000 a year to just like message some specific girl or boy on there or something or lady, that's wild to me, Mike. And I don't think people would pay this. But then again, I don't know. I know Tinder already has a pretty big subscription service, and you got to pay for all the premium features and all that type of stuff. So maybe you could sucker some people into this. Hey, come meet the love of your life for $500 a month. I don't know, man. It sounds wild to me.
But yeah, it is crazy. So I am very curious to see how this does. Let us know in the comments down below your opinion on this. $6,000 a year for this. So I don't know. Like honestly, Tom, if like Match comes out or Tinder comes out like a couple months from now and they're like, yeah, like this thing is booming, like so many people are signing up for this plan, then like that might tell you something, and like that might tempt me to look at buying some MTCH stock. But we'll see what happens. Like, it all depends on how this goes. Like, I could feel like this could be like a home run, but I also feel like it could be like a complete fail. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I do too. And hey, if you guys see me on there, you better be swiping right. That's all I got to say.
Oh my gosh. Alrighty. Well, with that being said, let's jump right into some predictions and setups for tomorrow. One stock I'm watching very closely is Tesla. So this thing got taken out to the woodshed last week, as some of our members would say. And basically, it had a pretty rough day on Friday. Tesla is one of the top stocks just dragging the market down right now. It is below that $250 support. It has been making lower highs as well, which Tom's been saying nonstop, which is also a bearish thing. And overall, it's just looking pretty bloody. I will have some close eyes on Tesla to the downside this week, but of course, we need the market to fall with it. If the whole market's green, I'm not going to try and play Tesla put options, but overall, it's pretty weak. It's moving with some power, and bears are definitely in control.
Yeah, that move last week was nuts. The way that we were just on Wednesday of last week, Tesla retested 274, and then we closed the week around 244. That's a pretty wild swing that we saw there. So I'm with you, Mike. I could see it to the downside too. Like you said, it's one of the leaders down, and It's been one of the better stocks to day trade to the downside the past few days. That is for sure. With my next play, I'm going with AMD, though. I have to. This stock is just so good here at these supports. We're sitting just under $100 as well. If we get under this triple bottom, really close to 95.50, I will look at puts. If this breaks tomorrow morning, then I think that we could see some nice momentum to the downside for a quick scalp. I don't think it's something that you need to swing for multiple days or anything, but you just need to catch that good momentum in the moment there. That's how I would play this. You could maybe go with the 95 strike puts. If you see that 95.50 break, that's really close to the money, and then you're not getting too risky with it either.
All right, sounds good. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Meta. So I've had some pretty close eyes on this stock as it is straddling this $300 support and resistance level. It's technically below the $300 level right now, which is good, but you can't celebrate too early because with a stock like Meta, it's kind of volatile and it's just common to see fake outs like that. But all in all, this is forming some pretty bearish, I guess you could say it's showing some bearish signs right now. And in the event the market keeps selling off as well, Meta has a lot of room to pull back and fall. So I will be watching this one pretty closely in a bearish way this week. But again, I want to say we need the market overall to fall as well. If Meta's the only stock down and everything else is green, you better not be trying to play Meta to the downside.
Yeah, exactly. And, my next play is actually talking about the SPY a little bit more. My next play is going to be SPXS, but more specifically, SPXS only if we see that selling pressure continuing, because SPY is actually on a pretty decent support right now. If we zoom out, this 430 area is pretty decent on SPY. So if this ends up holding and we do end up popping back up, then this will be a no play for me. But if we end up breaking below 430 here, I'll be looking at SPXS, which goes against the S&P 500. And you can see last week, let's just say from the low of day on Wednesday, right, all the way up to the high, SPXX actually had a pretty decent move of 10.25%, which is pretty good. So I think this could be a very fun stock to trade as long as that market continues down. But that 430 support is going to be pretty key here. We really need a break. With how much the market fell last week, we got to keep in mind, Mike, some of the biggest green days come in when the market is falling. That's because look at how steep this drop was, right? If the market gets really volatile, we could easily have a retest of 440 before running down and breaking 430 a couple days later. So we just got to keep that in mind that during this time, there's going to be those days where we get that green mixed in. And don't get too discouraged when that happens, because the very next day it could turn right back over again.
No doubt. Alrighty, Tom. Well, it's now about that time for the momentum plays. And with today's first one, we have Netflix to the downside.
This one was fun last week. Really continued down all week long. If they get under 378, then look at those puts. It's just below that low of the week last week.
All right. With the next one, we have TLT to the upside.
Yeah, TLT started coming back Friday. Thank God. I want those rates to go lower. So come on, TLT. If it can break above 91.60, watch it to the upside.
All right, and now with the last one, we have that crazy stock, Alibaba, for both directions.
Baba. Yeah, this one really surprised me last week. It had a nice pop up to end the week here. If it breaks out above $89, then go ahead and look at calls to the upside. If they fall under 88, which was a pretty big intraday support from Friday, then start eyeing up puts. This one could get pretty crazy, Mike. It's been having a nice run, though, the past couple days.
No doubt. So we have that downside level for, Baba to the downside. We have the upside level for it to the upside. And then don't forget about TLT with its upside level for a play to the upside only if it breaks above that resistance. And then Netflix with its downside level only if it breaks below that price level. But with that being said, it is now time for my favorite part of the video, which is the big money $800,000 trade of the day. And we are looking at none other than CGC. So CGC is one of those crazy marijuana companies. And for those of you who don't know, they have been running a lot over like the past like month or so. Basically, the more news in optimism and just like federal talk around like marijuana legalization, the better it is for these stocks. When the hype is there, these stocks really move. For example, CGC went from like 37 cents all the way up to like almost $2 over the course of a couple weeks, just from like August 29th up to September 12th. So like they run with some power, and the more news, the better. And basically what we saw on Friday was a big money trader dump 800 grand into the CGC 50-cent strike call options that expire on January 19th of 2024. With all the elections we have coming up, I would not be surprised at all if, marijuana legalization was brought up more and discussed more and, trying to get passed more because, it can help certain parties. And basically, the more talk there is, the more these stocks run up. So I don't think this is a bad trade at all. I will say, though, these stocks are super crazy and risky, and they move all over the place. So if you can't handle the volatility, if you can't handle the heat, then get out of the kitchen with this one. But all in all, it's a risky play, but I like it given the, political situation we have at hand right now, as well as the price action for CGC.
Yeah, the price action's been great, and what's been kind of on my radar lately with these marijuana stocks is like we had that big run up recently. Now we're having a big pullback, which at some point, there was going to be a pullback that came in. Once this pullback starts to even out, and it seems like given all these doji candles on the daily here, that this 70 to 80 cent area is pretty decent area of support. Maybe these big money players are trying to like front run another pullback to the upside. And I think that could be a great way to go here, especially with these marijuana stocks. I would say this, if you do put your money into these 50-cent strike calls, just make this one of those plays where you kind of feel like whatever you throw in could just turn to zero, right? Like these stocks are that volatile. Like if this thing fell back down to 50 or 40 cents, I would not even be surprised. So just keep that in mind. But I am bullish on these marijuana stocks for the longer term. CGC was actually one of the very first stocks that I had a really good like longer term swing with shares on. This stock was doing so good back in the day, like 2016, 2015, areas like that, when it started really running up. It was insane to see how much this stock ran up, and now it's only 50 to 80 cents. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, they're super crazy. I will say this is actually one of my favorite big money trades that we have seen in a little bit. Again, it's risky. Like this stock can easily go to 10 cents, but it could also, rise a lot more considering the type of stock it is and how it's so news-based. So either way, keep a very close eye on this one going forward. This one swings a lot. But one other thing I want to say right now is if you watch our videos each night and for some reason you're not in the Stocked Up Discord, you are missing out. It's completely free to join, and basically you get access to free day trades every single morning sent from Tom and myself. We have news channels where you can see some of the breaking news quicker than many major news sites. We also have an earnings channel that shows a bunch of relevant information about earnings for the week. We have an amazing community of traders who just started trading to traders who have been in the game for many, many years now. Overall, it's an amazing community. It's completely free to join, and if you're not already in it, you're missing out. To join, you want to click that first link in the description and the comments down below. Tyler and myself are also super active in this chat, so if you want to ask us questions or whatever the case may be, join up. A lot of times we do feature the most active members in the Discord in the nightly videos as well. So join the community, join the Stocked Up crew. But with that being said, Tom, we have an exciting week ahead of us. Volatility's on the rise, and good things are coming. I'm feeling it, Tom. Do you have any final thoughts, or is there anything else on your mind?
Yeah, just keep in mind that there's also the GDP growth rate coming out Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. It probably won't be overly huge, but they are expecting it to go up a little bit. So that's actually fairly decent at least. At least it's not coming in at like 1.8% or something. So we'll take that with the GDP growth rate. But the big thing that I'm seeing, Mike, is just we really need that volatility to continue to the downside. That would make for the best trading out there. It's been so much fun seeing these put premiums start to fly up as much as they are from the lows with that implied volatility starting to fly. It's been an awesome past couple weeks to trade. If it hasn't been awesome for you, maybe just look to be a little bit more adaptable. You know, I know the market's been doing great the past year, and it's been kind of recovering up this whole entire year until the past month, where we've finally been starting to see this downtrend come in. So just watch these supports like 430 on SPY. Keep your eyes on SPXX, UVXY. I think they could be extremely fun still, even for this week. Like, I expect them to still do well. And Mike, we still have the next 5 days or so are still the worst 5 days of September. So that still historically is playing out pretty well so far too.
There we go. A lot of times when you see transitions in the market, that actually presents some of the best opportunities you will ever see. So with everything being said, guys, we're super excited. You guys should be too. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Last but not least, we want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, which is C Barra 57 in the YouTube comments. Thank you so much for all of your support. I also saw you join the StockedUp Discord as well. So thank you for that. And we love having you as a member of the community. Besides that, guys, let's have an amazing week in the markets.